And then so I had to come up with this whole thing. I'm like, okay, let's just do it in the studio. And then as we're doing this, can everybody see the slides? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see the slides?
Are you still recording on me?
It is recording over
Okay.
here. I'm not recording over
Okay.
here. But it looks like, hopefully they can see it. Let me see here. Are you guys able to see the slides? Can you guys hear us good and everything? I am going to take that as a maybe. Oh, there you go. Maybe over here.
Oh,
Perfect.
perfect. Good,
Awesome.
good.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. Last time, if you guys joined us, I truly am big on wanting to respect people's time, and we kept it right at the 45 minutes. So that is the intent today. We will have a Q&A at the end of it, but we will cover a lot of stuff today that I'm excited to share with you guys. And I hyped you up quite a bit, Dorie, because last time it was like, this is how to have a good brokers open.
Right.
And then, so that was a little bit of my wheelhouse. You came to the
Yes.
brokers open that we did.
Yes.
We had over 70 people there, and everybody was asking me, hey, how in the heck did you guys do this? Like, I've only had like 5 people show up to my brokers
Right.
open.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because you came in and
Right.
and talk about commitment.
Yeah,
Talk about commitment. You actually had the perfect excuse to not come because you had a different meeting with your
Yes.
brokerage. Is
Yes,
that correct?
that's correct. Yes.
You come in a little later, and then
But I had committed that I was going to come.
I love that. And so we start talking, and I'm talking to a group of new agents, and you had just told me that you were like about your numbers, which if you guys haven't heard this enough, okay? Dorie, she's been in the business for under 2 years. She's been able to do over 10 million. How many units is that? That's the one thing I didn't tell people.
Well, you know what's funny is I don't count my units.
You don't count, but do you have an idea?
We're probably 25.
25.
I know 14 last year, so we're probably close to 25.
And the
Yeah.
most important thing about that is that 90% of those have came from open
Yeah.
houses, which is
Absolutely.
crazy. And so I introduced you to these agents, and all these agents were like mind blown. They were like, "Oh my gosh, like how do you do it?" And then you started just giving out your secrets,
Yeah, absolutely.
which both in both places, on the lending side and on the agent side, there's a lot of people that are doing good things to be successful, but they try to keep that
Right,
close to their
right,
chest.
yeah.
And so I'm so happy with it. I was calling them, and they're like, I'm gonna talk to you guys about how to have a good open house. And then they're like, nobody said anything, but I'm like, I always had to hype you up, because I'm like, this should be coming from an agent, not a lender.
Right,
but
yeah.
Even if I can be the middleman to add value to you guys, that's what I'm here for. So, Dorie, thank you for being here. And I'm excited to add some value to some people today here, and then hopefully be able to turn that into leads, and then turn that into more deals in 2025.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
A little bit of the content that we're going to be sharing today, guys. And then for starters, you have the disclaimer here, which is.
So I thought it was really important to do a disclaimer, because this isn't a gimmick. I mean, this is real life. This is how I make my living. And so what I'm doing is I'm sharing my trial and error that has led to my success. I'm not out here saying, do this, don't do that. I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks that I've done that is successful. But the important thing is, you either do it or you don't. You either decide that you're going to be good at it, or you don't. There's no middleman with this, because people sense if you're scared. People sense if you're not genuine, and if you don't know what you're doing. And so it's just really, really important. And I said to William, I said, okay, if we're going to do this, we're doing a disclaimer, because people have to understand that this is serious, this is business, and it's not a gimmick, is the point.
100%. And I think that there's so many people out there that just want more and more information.
Right.
But they hoard all this information, and they don't do anything with that information.
Right.
And that's whenever they call that a gimmick. They're like,
right.
Oh, hey, like for example, like yesterday, I put it on the newsletter, and I said, if you want more leads in 2025, don't miss tomorrow. And then some people would be like, okay, like,
What is this?
yeah,
Right.
and then you come here and you're listening to what we have to share, and then you maybe do a couple open houses that don't go your way, or maybe you keep doing open houses, you don't really implement anything
Right.
that she's gonna share today, and then you're like, yeah, that was a gimmick, like I didn't get any more leads out of this, or
Right.
and it's like rapid implementation is critical for success, guys. So
Mhm.
we're gonna go over a few things, and we've made them pretty basic for you guys to grab onto them. And by the way, I know that a lot of you guys are probably taking pictures of the slides here. If you don't want to take pictures of it, make sure that you send me an Instagram message or a Facebook message and just say the word slides, and I'll send you a link to this, so you don't have to worry about taking screenshots or whatever. So make sure that you guys are implementing what she's going to talk about today in order to have some of that success. So looks like right here, right off the bat. So why host an open house? Because I feel like there's some confusion on that. And what I love is that I'm not an agent, so
Right.
I'm sitting here pretty much asking the questions that I feel like might be the dumb questions that some agents
People
don't
just
want to
don't know,
ask.
yeah,
They
and
don't
just
want
don't
to
know,
ask.
right?
So why do you host an open house? Is it because you have a listing and then you're feeling pressure from the seller that it's not selling? Is it because you want to get like buyer? Like why do you
Right.
host an open house?
Well, I think what's really important is that people understand that there needs to be an objective, right? So my objective number one, when I'm hosting an open house, is to sell the house that I'm in. My open houses, again, the majority of my open houses, over 80% of my open houses have not been my listings.
Okay,
Have not,
so only 20%.
that's right,
your
only
listings.
20% about have been my own listings, okay? And so it's really important that the agent trusts you because they're trusting you with their house, right? They're trusting you with their business. So the objective is you want to sell the house that you're in, and then secondarily, you want to get high quality leads for yourself so that you can then sell additional properties, get additional listings from the open house. So it's really important that you go into an open house understanding there is an objective. You're not just doing it.
I love that you say that, because actually going back to the end of 2020, so I met this agent at the beginning of January that year, and it was like around this time in 2020, and she comes, and I mean 2020 was a great time in the business, but she goes, hey, I think I'm going to be doing this part-time. I got to get another job. And then I go, like, that's crazy. Like, I feel like you've been hustling and you've been, I see you doing open houses like on Facebook and all that stuff. And she goes, that's the thing. She goes, I've been doing 1 to 2 open houses every single weekend this entire year. And she's like, and I've only closed a couple deals. And I go, both of them from open houses? And she said, no. And I go, how many close, like, so you haven't had any closings from open houses. How many pre-approvals do you have? And she goes, 0. And I go, how many leads? And she goes, I don't, she wasn't tracking anything.
Right.
And then, and I go, why did you keep doing open houses then?
Right.
And then she goes, because that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, that's what
people tell you, like that, yes.
it's the same thing on
yes.
our end. Whenever you have a new loan officer and then they sit down in their desk and it's like, what do I do now? And it's like, call realtors. And it's like, and talk to them about what?
Right.
I'm sure that you
Yeah.
had your fair
Yes.
share of 8 or loan officers that call you.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
then you're like, hey, what? What did they just call me about? And or some of them that you're like, whoa, I already have a lender or whatever, but like that was valuable. Like to where
Right,
it's like,
absolutely.
so make sure that you guys have an objective.
You need an objective, and I just gave them to you. Like, don't change them. Like, don't go reinvent the wheel. I just gave you your objectives.
Do you feel that even if you're in there for objective number 1, sell the house you're in, that you're like pretty much, I don't want to say automatic, but like that's naturally going to lead you into generating high quality leads?
Absolutely. 100% of the time. Yes. So when I go into an open house, I know about the house. I can talk about the neighborhood. I know about various things. And when I say various things, we're going to have conversations that don't have anything to do with the house. The number one question I get is about interest rates.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, because people will come in and they'll say, oh, we're just waiting for the interest rate. Oh, interest, and my number one response I'm a real estate agent, not a lender.
I
That
love
is
that.
my
I
number
love
one
that.
response. That is my disclaimer. I'm a real estate agent. I'm not a lender. However, let me tell you from my perspective, what I see about the interest rates and what is happening. And that's because I have lender partners.
Yeah.
That's
That's where
I
you,
mean.
that's where you have to lead them. And
Yeah.
actually, I wanna give my disclaimer on
Mhm.
this, what you're saying,
Mhm.
is that, yesterday, actually, I have an agent that we work with, we have a deal going on, and then it's the son, the mom is like a helicopter mom, and she's very like, hey, I gotta
Know everything. You
know
gotta,
everything.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, touch
yeah.
everything.
And then I always feel bad because the agent's calling me and she's like, they're asking me all these questions and they like, and I don't know them. I'm like, you're not supposed to know
Not
them. Like,
supposed
they're
to know.
supposed to call
That's
me.
right.
But I feel like a lot of the times, if you start off with answering a question and not having the disclaimer of like, hey, that's not my area of expertise,
Right.
that's where you can get yourself.
That's right. You get yourself into a situation where you have to start telling the client that I don't know. And that will turn your client off because they
If-
expect you to know
Even though you
additional,
shouldn't,
that's right.
even though you like, it's not your job to
That's,
know
it's
that.
not my job, not my
But,
job.
okay,
But
I'm
I don't
glad.
say not my job. I say I'm your realtor.
I love that. I love that. All right. So how often should you host an open house? We go back to that
Yeah.
story of that lady that was doing them every
Every
single
single,
weekend.
right.
So talk to me about your experience and then what you would recommend for people.
Absolutely. So I recommend that you do a minimum of one open house a weekend. I personally will tell you, pick a Saturday or a Sunday, what works best for you. Not everybody is a Sunday open house person. That's okay. If people want to see the house you're in, they're gonna come on Saturday if it's open on Saturday. So I'm a Saturday and Sunday open house person. I have seen now we're doing some Friday night, like twilight open houses,
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays. Listen, all of this is fine. The key is that you're being successful and you're being consistent on your open house. So just do at least once a week. I personally, right now, I'm about once a week, and I say about, I am consistently once a week. Many times I have to use Saturdays for clients because my business has built. But I can tell you that straight out the gate, I was a Saturday, Sunday open house girl every single week.
And one of the myths out there is that there is a perfect day to do it. You just said that.
Yeah.
Something that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about if like what's the perfect number of people to have there, because I feel like a lot of the times people will go and then they feel like they have to have this certain amount of people show up
Right.
in order to be able to have a quote unquote
Successful,
open house.
yeah.
And then but let's talk about the price point.
Okay.
And I know there's a couple people that are outside of our Tulsa, Oklahoma market that
Right.
are on the call, but for some perspective there, our starter homes here where we're at, it's about what would you say, 250,000?
I'd say 250.
250.
Yeah, you can do move-in ready at 250. It's a little tough, but it's there. 300 probably for sure.
And most people think that that's the open house they need to be at to attract first time home buyers or
Correct,
whatever.
right.
Let's
The
talk
volume, for the volume of people, yes.
So let's talk about your experience of the prices of what you've had
Okay.
and share a little bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started straight off the bat, I was like, I want to do an open house. Now, be clear, I didn't know how to do an open house. I just thought that's what real estate agents did. And so I started doing an open house. My first open house was 400,000. It was out in South Tulsa. That was my first open house. I had people come in and I got them to give me their information. So for me, that was successful. I did not sell the house, but I did get quality leads, right? My second open house was around the $750,000 price point. And at the time, I was, just new in real estate. So I was having rookie club meetings at my brokerage, once a month. And I said, oh, I should probably go to the open house rookie club meeting, right? Because I'm a rookie. So I go in the open house and my broker says, probably a 200, 250 price point, maybe 3 is really good to get your feet wet on open houses. And I just kind of was like, okay, because I started at 400.
Yeah.
Okay. And so,
And you had success.
and I had success.
Yeah.
Okay. So my point is, go to the price point that you're successful, that you feel confident, and you'll be successful. That's the key.
And one of the things that you mentioned when we met, when we were preparing for this, was that you said, as long as you're confident
Yes.
in the house,
Mhm.
because
Correct.
there are still so many people that will be showing a house and they themselves are kind of wowed by it, right?
Correct.
So if you're
Yes.
doing an open house, and
Mhm.
from what I gather from what you
Yes.
told me,
Mhm.
and you're the one that you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this open house.
Right.
Like most likely the buyers that come in might be like, yeah, like,
Why are you?
yeah, like you're
Yeah.
like, we're supposed to be the ones that are.
Correct.
So, but that can be for any price
For
point,
any
right?
price, that can be for any price point. So, because you can also be wowed that you're doing an open house, right?
Yeah.
At any price point.
That's
Like,
so good.
you know what I
That's so
mean?
good.
Like, the price point doesn't matter. So the key is that you're comfortable in the house and with the price point, that you can comfortably have conversation about that house with someone who comes in, that you know how to pivot if somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer to about the house, but you know how to say, I don't know the answer to that. Let me ask the listing agent, get back with you, something of that nature. But you have to feel comfortable in being able to do that.
Being confident and not knowing the
That's right.
answer.
Be confident and not knowing the answer.
That's so good.
Mhm.
That's so good. All right. So what is good traffic? I actually didn't even know
Yeah.
that this slide was right
After that, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so I feel like that's a lot. When I was early in my career, I would go and do open houses with some agents. I would sit there with them,
Mhm.
just, for company and stuff. And I would feel like, sometimes we would have like 5 people walk into an open house, and it would be like, well, this kind of wasn't that great, right? Like,
Right.
just because, and this is just my
Yes,
opinion, right?
yes.
Like,
Mhm.
every agent that's listening to us right now, like, they have a different number, right?
Correct. That's right.
Maybe you've done 3 open houses and nobody has shown up. So you do another one and you have one person show up and you're like, that one actually was not bad, right?
Right.
So let's talk about, you
Yeah.
said that your minimum is 3 people, and why 3 people? And talk to me a little bit about, like, maybe overthinking too much about, like, the perfect
Absolutely,
number.
absolutely. So I think it's really important because the idea is the foot traffic, right? That's what you want. So if I get 3 people in the door and I get one person's information, that's successful because I want the lead. Like, that's what I want. I want to be able to sell that house, or I want the lead to help them find something that they're looking for. So if I get 3 people in the door, and remember, open houses are generally 2 hours, right? So 3 people in a 2-hour time span, that you got a lot of dead time.
Yeah.
With 3 people in a 2-hour time span. So the idea is that if you get the 3 people, practice on everybody who comes in the door. If you've got one person, take the opportunity to have the conversation with the one person. But then once you've ended the open house, make some notes for yourself, but try to figure out how to refine that open house. So when you do it again, yes, again, even if you didn't have anybody come in, it's better.
Have you seen success from a house that maybe nobody showed up, and then you go
Absolutely.
do the same exact one, and then
Yes, yes. So I generally do an open house until I have no traffic coming in.
like nobody showed up,
Like
right?
nobody's showing up, there's no active leads, there's no, and that can take sometimes 40, 50 days on the market.
Yeah.
But I mean, depending on the location, there's a lot of things that go into this, right? What is the location? What is the price point? What is going on in the world? What is going on economically? There's a lot of things that go into open houses being successful, and the house you picking being successful. So I have that strategy, and I don't go in an Excel spreadsheet or anything like that, but in my mind, I put together the reason why this open house has been successful or has not been successful. And then I make a decision to continue, or then to decide that I'm gonna go pick another open house to do.
I have a couple questions. One, do you do any research before you commit to an open house? As far as, like, if there's anything going on, like the fair, Oktoberfest or whatever, do you pay any attention on that to maybe be like, okay, there's too much going on this weekend. Maybe I'll sit this one out because there's probably not going to be any traffic. Do you do any of that?
So yes and no. I do it so that I can talk about it when they come in the open house, but I don't do it to
get out
cancel
of
the
it, to
open
get out of
house.
it. Okay.
No, not at
I like
all.
that. I like
So, I mean, I don't have a reason to cancel or not do an open house. Like, I just can't tell you a reason.
And I'm asking that because I feel like a lot of people, look for a reason
That's
to
right.
cancel.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So here's the deal. We're in Oklahoma, right? So we've got OU, we've got OSU, we've got TU, we've got football season going, we've got games at different times. If someone wants to look at a house, they're going to come to the open house, period. Game time or not.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I don't remember really if we put it on here, but we did talk about how after the whole NAR deal
Mhm.
that went down, which
Yeah.
thankfully it looks like it really hasn't changed our business that
Not too
much.
much. Yeah.
But what you have seen, the people, and I say that if you have 100 buyers out there, maybe five of them
Mhm.
know about like
Right,
anything changed.
right.
But those five of them that know, and of course, this is of 100 buyers, which
Right.
even like in Tulsa metro area, we have over 1 million people.
Right.
Like 5% of that, it's still a lot of people.
Right.
So those 5%, they're the ones that are being like, well, hey, I don't want to pay for an agent, so let me
Right.
just. You said you're noticing that a lot more.
Yes. Open houses for me have picked up tremendously with traffic, and I would absolutely attribute it to the NAR settlement changes. Now, I do want to be clear, it's very important, and we're real estate agents on here, so we know this, that there aren't significant changes like the clients think there are.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that we take the opportunity to educate that. I do think a lot of the new foot traffic or the more foot traffic is quite frankly because people are not signing up with agents immediately on the buyer broker agreement. They're taking their time, they're kind of looking on their own, and then they're going forward with the buyer broker agreement. Because they're now my client from the open house.
Because you'll get them right there. You'll get
You
them
know,
right there.
you know what I mean? So it's just, that's kind of one of the things I said earlier is, be able to have conversation with them. You need to be able to have a positive conversation, and that's also very key. You cannot have a negative conversation about the buyer broker agreement at the open house.
Yeah.
You want to make it a positive
Yeah.
conversation.
Misery loves company, and a lot of times we dig ourselves into a hole.
Right.
Whenever you're wanting to disagree with the buyer, right?
Yes.
My last question on this is, so would you say that like we talked about confidence, but what about like attitude? Because what I mean by that is, first of all, I feel like a lot of people that do open houses will go because they are like feel forced to. So then you're already going in there with like the wrong mentality.
Right.
And then if we have, let's say, 3 people,
Right.
and then you're like, oh man, like, and then they're probably all not going to show up at one time.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so if you've been sitting there for an hour before you see one
Very
person,
possible.
like you could lose your chances of getting a qualified lead because people can kind of sense of like, hey, this person doesn't want to be here.
Right.
Or like, whoa,
Or
this
annoyed,
person,
like, you've been kind of sitting idle a little too long, that kind of thing.
So talk to me, what do you do to make sure that you are giving your all to every person that you're talking to, no matter if you have 3 people or 30 people, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I think it's really important that you remember why you're there, right? You're there to sell the house and to get quality leads. That needs to be your motivation throughout the entire time of the open house, right? So that in of itself should make you want to greet everyone with a smile, offer a handshake, whatever you feel comfortable with, because the key is if you do not feel comfortable, the client will know it immediately. So that's definitely, if there's been times, I'll sit for an hour, one person will come through. And you know what? That is my time to shine. That one person could be my next client.
It's all about the mentality.
Absolutely.
It's all about the mentality.
Absolutely.
Somebody was asking me the other day what I do to wake up so early. And I say, man, I truly wake up. Like it's Christmas every morning.
Yeah.
I read a book called The Miracle Morning, and that's what they told me. I see a couple of people ask some questions. We will answer those at the end, but keep those questions coming. We'd love to, interact with you guys. So really quick, I wanted to put this on here because one of the things that you shared with me that I found very interesting is you talked about, making every interaction count. And then I said, well, what if you have 30 people? Like, what do you do? And then you said, get a helper. And I was like, what are you talking about? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a helper, and it is my niece. My niece Channing is my helper. Channing is 14.
14 years
14
old.
years old. She's 14 years old. Okay, this is very important. It's very important because the people that we're on here with, realtors, we are grown people, right? And so when Channing started to be my helper, She could not look people in the eye. She was very timid, 13, right?
Yeah.
Part of the reason I took her was for safety, right? Because having more than one person with me. And so her thing was she baked cookies. So Channing baked cookies, brought them to the open house and set them up.
And it was a job for her. You
And
paid her.
that's her job. She gets paid. Yes, this is her job. It's because she took pride, right, in the cookies. That was the original. She took pride in the cookies. So once people would have a cookie, they would say, "Oh, who made these cookies?" That started Channing talking
Wow.
to the people who
That's
were
awesome.
in the house,
That's
right?
awesome.
So the point is, what is your barrier to entry? Are you a little nervous to talk to people? Okay, well, maybe you're not great with like, somebody comes in my door, I'm like, "Hi, I'm Dorie." I give them a few facts about the house. If that's not where your strength is, what is it? Can you make a cookie? And if somebody says your cookie is good, say thank you,
Yeah.
and then start the conversation. There's a lot of different ways to do it.
So whatever it is that you feel comfortable talking about.
Correct.
So cookie
It does
is,
not have to be the house. Does
for
not.
me, it'd probably be tacos. If
There you
there's
go.
tacos there, I'm talking all
There
day.
you go, there you go. So yes, and that's Channing. So, if you have friends, partners, whoever you have, the key is they are a representation of your brand at all times, right? So Channing, for example, she has a McGraw t-shirt that she'll wear. She'll have branded material of mine. She's got to look the part. I'll tell you a funny story. So last weekend we did have about 30 people through my open house.
Uh-huh.
It was insane. So Channing was manned upstairs,
Purchase price on that one.
$749.
30 people.
30 people,
Okay, so
$749.
she was
So she's
upstairs?
manned upstairs.
Okay.
It was a two-story. So
Oh, that
she-
was the other thing that
yeah.
you talked about, that you guys are in different
Yes,
places.
we're in different
Because even
places.
if
Yes.
you're doing it with another agent,
Yes.
let's say, which you can do that. Yeah.
You can do it with
Yeah.
another agent. Yeah.
But they're like this. And-
Right, no, we're not together. No, we're not together. So Channing her assignment was upstairs and I was downstairs. And so people would go up and I would tell them, "Hi, I'm Dorie, Channing is upstairs. If you have any questions, just let us know." So if she had a question, which she's versed on the house, but somebody asked her what the purchase price was. And she texted me, and it was funny because I said 749K and sent it. And then I realized, I was like, "Oh crap, what if she doesn't know what the K means?" Well, she's been doing this a year and a half, almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Right. So later I asked her, I said, "Hey, did you know when I said K?" She was like, "Auntie Dorie, everybody knows K means 1,000.
That's hilarious. So
So you just, you know what I mean? But so the clients that were upstairs felt taken care of, even
I
though
love that.
I was not in front of them.
And so the two things on this, one, that it sounds so basic, guys, again,
Yeah.
but like cliches are cliches because they're basic things
Yeah.
that nobody does.
That's right.
So
That's right.
greet everyone, introduce yourself with confidence. This seems so basic, guys, but any open house that I've been to,
Mhm.
it's always like somebody walks in and it's like, "Oh, hey guys, how you doing?
Right.
If
Mhm.
if you guys have any questions, I'm over here."
Yes. No.
Very little people like
They don't interact.
introduce.
People don't introduce and they don't interact.
So every person that's coming in, whether
Every
it's 3
person,
or whether
it
it's
does not
30,
matter.
you're literally.
Every
So
single person.
I'm walking into your
Yes.
house. How are you
Yes.
how are you like, treating
Absolutely.
me?
So you're walking in, I'm gonna say, "Hi, I'm Dorie." And if you don't give me your name, I'll say, "And you are?" Like I want immediately
okay.
the interaction,
Okay,
right?
okay.
They'll tell me their name and I say, "It's so great to have you here today. We're in a 3-bedroom, 2 and 1/2 bath priced at $749. We've been on the market 32 days. Let me tell you something fun about the house."
You do that for
Every single person that walks in the door.
that's
Every
that's
single
almost
person.
too good. That's
Okay,
almost
I'm
too
just
good.
letting you know, every single person.
Somebody needs to go to one of the open house and test her on this.
Come test me, see if it doesn't happen. Now, your fact may be different each time, right?
Yeah.
Because it's whatever
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
to my
yeah.
head. But yes, every single person gets attention.
That sets you as the expert right
That's
away.
correct, immediately.
Honestly, even if somebody is already has an agent, that might even make them
That
question.
has happened. That has happened to me. I have had a client that I knew in my heart of hearts, they told me they had an agent. I don't poach. That's not what I do.
Yeah.
But something said, just reach out to her, make sure that she's okay, that she's got what she needs. She did not have what she needed from her agent. She called me up. We put an offer in on a house and we closed that deal.
I love that. And you guys
Absolutely.
gotta remember, everybody knows what they do. Fewer people know how to do it, but only the people that are successful know why they do it. So I love that so much.
Yeah.
Really quick to wrap this up.
Mhm.
I want you to tell them the story of the commission check your nephew, your niece
Niece.
gotcha. Tell me about
Right,
that.
right. So I was doing an open house. My niece, it was early on, it was first year in. And these clients that were not clients yet, but they were just great. They loved the house. They went outside and happened to say that they loved the house. And these were great people. They were just so sweet. And Channing was outside at the car and she said, well, why don't you put in an offer?
You were nowhere around.
I was nowhere around, nowhere around. Okay.
That's amazing.
And so they chuckled and said, you know, well, we might just do that. Called me. I became their agent. And we
That's-
did not close on that house, but we closed on another firm exclusive house that we had.
And don't you pay her commission
And
too?
she gets paid commission. So
I
she got a
love that.
bonus on the house
I
that on
love
that
that.
one. So she gets paid a bonus when we close.
I love that. Okay, this is actually goes with what we're talking about, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are very like, hey, how you doing? If you have any questions, you know, and then they're always like, almost sometimes kind of aggressive. They're like, hey, make sure that you sure that you sign in.
Yes. Right.
So you only have about 60 to 70% of people, and even if you only have like
Yeah.
5 people.
Yeah.
And I was actually just talking to this about to a group of loan officers, and I said, your goal could be 30 leads a month, and you could be 20 leads in the first couple of weeks. But if you're at 0% conversion, I'd rather have 5 leads
Yeah.
and 50% conversion.
Right.
Because names are leads essentially are just a name and a number.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything until you
Convert it. Right.
So talk to me about this.
Yes. So I personally, and again, everybody does how they want to do, but for me personally, I'm old school. So I have a paper and a pencil sitting in a strategic location. And the reason I say strategic is I need to be able to see the front door because whoever is coming is also going, right? So I need to be able to see the front door and I need to be able to see my piece of paper. And so the piece of paper asks simply for name, phone number, email, and are you working with an agent? That's what it asks for. And I have my cards sitting right there beside that. I also keep cards in my pocket and Channing keeps cards in her pocket. So that every person gets that interaction. So it's pretty non-invasive to just say, hey, would you mind, let me send you some information about this property. Would you mind just putting your information down? If it's a husband and wife or partners or whatever, usually like one of them will be the one who does that.
Yeah.
And then they'll put the other one's name down as well, or not, you know, however they do it. But it's just, to me, I think of like, I take my mom to the doctor and she's very competent and on computers and everything like that at 91. I'm really blessed. But when you go into like the lab, everybody has to go to the computer and type
Yeah.
in, you know, it doesn't matter how proficient you are, you will mess up that check-in.
Yeah,
You will mess it up every time. And so for me, I think we do so much with computers and technology that I like the written sign-in sheet. And I do want to say another thing about that. I also am very clear, they are not going on an automatic
Oh, that's good.
anything.
That's good.
And I think that's really important. We get so much spam, right? So even though I add them to my KV core that we use, I do not send automatic messages.
Yeah.
All of my messages are personal and they come from my phone or my email. And I think that's important for people too. It kind of they're like, oh, okay, you're not selling my information or you're not giving it to, you know, another mass email that's coming through.
I love that. I
Mhm.
love that
Yeah.
so much. Okay, so follow-up strategies, because the thing is the chances of happening every time, which is somebody wants to make an offer right away and you leave that open house with a contract that same day
Yeah,
are
like zero, like,
yeah.
like zero.
So let's again, we want to be straight up with you guys, but this is something that I see that so many people don't do, and that's just following up. What's your
Yeah.
follow-up process?
Yeah, so I switch it up. Kind of depends on the house, the number of people in the house and things like that. I do send within a few days an email saying, hi, thank you for coming by the open house. I will send the disclosure or disclaimer sheet and then just the MLS printout of the house. I don't have those at the open house.
And I don't think we had that on here, but
Yeah.
you just told me that that you do
Yeah,
that on purpose.
I do that on purpose.
So many
Yeah.
people when they do open houses, they have like
All this
Every,
information?
yeah,
Yeah.
in multiple copies, right?
Yes.
I do not. I have one copy maybe, and if that goes away, I don't care. Because it gives me an opportunity to say, let me get your information and I will send you that
That's
information.
perfect. I thought that was perfect when you
Yeah,
told me that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think some
Yeah.
open houses even have like seller willing to go as low.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no telling, you know what I mean?
All right, so a couple things. These are pretty basic, but I want you to
Mhm.
kind of touch on them because you're so good at what you're like preaching on that, which you talk about being genuine, following up, and being consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else that you wanted to add on this?
I think the number one, and I'm so glad strategy number one we decided to put is be genuine and be present. I think it's really important to be genuine and to be present and to remember this is your business,
Mhm.
right? I think it's really important that part of being genuine and part of being present is just acknowledging that I am here in this space at this time to do whatever happens when, whenever, if people come in, they come in. If they don't, they don't. And so I think it's really important to just acknowledge that that is part of what business is.
Yeah.
Wins and losses, hits and misses. And so as long as you stay genuine, stay positive about the situation, it will come. It will
Yeah.
come in time.
People can tell when somebody is there and then they're being themselves.
Yes.
And that
It's
can
so
be
important.
Yeah, and that can be a big turnout for a
Yeah.
lot of people. Like that could have been your client, but then they're like, I just don't know what I
Right.
thought about this person.
And I want to say too, part of being yourself is sometimes you're not even talking about the house.
Oh, which that's something that I
Yeah.
wanted to say too,
Yeah.
is that a lot of the times people think I'm a lender, so I'm selling loans, or I'm a real estate agent, I'm
Mhm.
selling houses. We're not,
We're
selling
relationship.
relationships.
Yes.
That's what it is.
That's right. Mhm.
I was just doing a coaching call right before this, and
Yeah.
then they were telling me how they had a great conversation with one of their agent partners, and then at the very end they were like, hey, and also, do you have any leads that I could help, blah blah blah. And then she was like, I feel like the conversation just
Like it just was,
yeah,
it's not,
and it's
everything before that is like, just throw it in the trash.
yeah, and I literally said,
Mhm.
I even called some people to invite them to this webinar, and I was talking, and I had such a good conversation with them that I felt that me saying, hey, I was calling you to invite
Don't
you.
even do it.
Yeah.
Don't even do it.
And
Right.
I said I didn't do it because that would have
Yeah.
that would have negated everything.
Everything that you said. That's right.
So I'm glad that you said
Because
that.
that's how you remain genuine, right?
I'm
So
glad you said that.
I had some people come in an open house that I was doing, and they were sweet. We had conversation a little bit about the house or whatever, but come to find out they were dropping their last kid off at college at ORU. And I was like, oh, one of my good girlfriends graduated from ORU, which then translated to the wife went to TU. Well, I graduated from TU. So we had a TU conversation and about the campus and how it's changed.
Love that.
And so they gave me their information. They are moving here from out of
That's
state.
awesome.
They gave me their information, and it was just a genuine conversation about what's happening,
Yeah.
about universities that we both, attended and knew. And it's not, it's genuine.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. That's a great thing because I feel like sometimes we feel like we have to be on so much, and we're like, you have to wear, the name tag, you have to
I've
wear
never
the.
worn a tag.
I don't have it.
Like I have it. I never wore it.
Yeah, I don't, and it's crazy though, because this isn't a social media class, but I always tell people, like, in my page, it's all about like adding value to strangers, but in my stories, that's where people really
We're
get to
getting to
know
know you.
and
Mhm.
nobody ever comes up
Yeah.
to people say like, hey, I watch your videos and stuff, but most of the time it's people that are saying like, hey, did you how's Mav doing? Like, we're at the fair,
yeah.
and it's like people want real people.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we're to Q&A. Here's QR codes, guys, if you guys want some of the slides. And it looks like we do have a couple of questions here. And if you guys have any other questions, please let us know. So it looks like Daniela says, how much time should we be spending talking to people? Or is there not a specific time? That's actually really good.
Yeah. But
talking
that
about
goes to don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it, but let me ask you this. If I have 3 people
Mhm.
coming in,
Yep.
do I just want to like talk to them for as long as I can, because just to kind of fill in the time, especially if there's nobody else coming in, or do you still give them their space? Because there's a lot of people that walk into open houses and then they're like feel like bombarded, right?
Right.
So and then of course if you have 30 people that come in, it's very easy to, it's very hard to even have a 5-minute conversation with one
Correct.
person. So talk to me about that. Like, I know
Yeah.
there's no perfect
There-
time.
Yeah, no
and-
perfect time,
but-
it's a
but-
feeling, but here's the thing. You need to make sure that everybody is acknowledged when they walk in the door, okay? That's very important. And respectfully, if I'm talking to you, this happened to me last weekend. I'm talking to you, I'm here, the door is right, within my sight. And I say, you know what, look, I need to go speak to them, I'll
And
be-
then you come back.
Yes, and if they're not there, they're touring the house, which is fine.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
But the key is be respectful, just say, and they know it's an open house, right? You know what? I'm sorry. Let me move away just for a second. And then when you see them again, if they didn't stay there, resume the conversation.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then last question, we got 2 minutes. If anybody has any other questions, is how do you market to open? your
Oh,
travel?
I was hoping nobody would ask me this.
You don't market at all?
No.
So you're just look at the draw. You don't even post anything on
Okay,
social
no,
media?
no, I don't. So here's what I do. I have my signs that are custom to me that I put out before the open house in the neighborhood. That is my marketing technique for open house.
That, and then.
Okay, because you have to remember, here's the deal. Let's remember this. People love Zillow. People love
Yeah,
Zillow.
that is
You're
true.
not gonna get people to stop looking at Zillow, okay? They love Zillow, so let them use Zillow. They know when open houses are. I mean, there's even an open house search on Zillow where you can find what open houses are open and when.
Yeah, I think,
You know?
I think if you, I said social media, but I think even if you overuse that, it can actually get people to
It
just kind of,
saturates.
yeah,
Yeah, they
to
just get
just,
different.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not interested in open house. So
That's
it's like,
right.
Well, Dorie, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you for
I want to
having me.
respect everybody's
Yeah.
time and hope this was valuable to you guys. And we'll be doing another webinar next month, and I'm excited to keep bringing value to you guys. So
And I'm
anything we
always
can do,
open for questions. I'm big on, it doesn't matter your brokerage. I'm big on it.
that's good.
I'm
If you
just-
help other people get
That's
what
it.
they want, you're ultimately going to get what you
That's
want,
it.
even if
Absolutely.
that's in just a given way. So
That's correct.
thank you guys. It was great being on here with you guys.